So we're gonna start with feedback is a gift. Do you remember this? Feedback is a gift? I remember the first time I heard it, it was a couple decades ago, and I thought, feedback is pain. Are dental appointments gifts? Like, so what are we qualifying? I was the type of person that when someone said, let's talk, I had great anxiety. And so for me to be in front of you today to talk about the actual talk as a gift, I just want you to know feedback evolves and we come a long way. It's never a pretty package, there's never a bow. I'm not gonna give you a receipt so you can't return it if it doesn't fit. But feedback is mission critical in our global marketplace to make sure we are successful, we strive, and we do our best work. And so I am legal counsel for Jacksonville University, and a part of my job every single day is giving and receiving feedback. I manage compliance, and so much of the feedback I give is pretty. It lives on the four corners of a document, and it's policy, and it adjusts, and it keeps people out of trouble, and it saves things, and everybody's comfortable with it. But in the wake of what I think is 40 years, which has actually been 2 years since 2020, I've also been gifted the Department of Human Resources. And yes, you may know it by the stigma, and I apologize for the trauma of HR. And so I've learned the most important thing about feedback is valuing the listener. So in absorbing human resources, we did a survey to everyone. No one wanted to come to the Office of People and Culture. No one wanted to come to HR. And we said, why? And they said, we don't trust you. So I thought no one hated or mistrusted a department more than legal and compliance, but I was wrong because it's actually HR. And so they said, start by not being HR. And so we listened to the provost who gave this very mean feedback. And we accepted it. And it's been the best thing we've ever done because we changed our name to the Office of People and Culture. And not only did it change my staff from being the culture of the DMV and why are you here? What do you need, right? But it allowed us to reinvent ourselves and really focus on the people and the culture. And so I'm gonna start with just really using the key as value the listener. Speak the listener's language, talk and work in an environment where I would say the listener understands, but you have to acknowledge history. So feedback started in corporate America. Feedback started in education. Let's acknowledge that. Those are very traditional systemic frameworks in our society. What else does it do? It hasn't been known to serve minorities well, historically marginalized groups, any groups that's been disenfranchised, first-generation Americans, immigrants, English as a second language. There's so many disadvantages in just the lens of feedback. We have to acknowledge that. And so it reminded me of when I was in law school, and I made trial team, and I went to the #1 trial advocacy school in the nation. So being on trial team was like being in the World Cup from a global lens or being on University of Florida's football team. It was a big deal, and there was an honor. And so as my trial team coach met with me, it was a very vanilla law school, as many law schools were many, many years ago. And she said, okay, all right, so let's make sure we wear our hair back and straight and in a bun and make sure it's clean and neat and tidy. And I was the only person that looked like me. And I thought, this does not get straight or neat or tidy. It can be professional any day of the week, but the lens of what professionalism looked like then was a little bit different. And I realized the lens of feedback is very vanilla. And now we're living in a demographic shift. And in the next 10 to 15 years, our population is gonna be majority minority. But the history of feedback has been very, very vanilla. And so there's an adjustment that we need to make in giving feedback. And it brought me back to that moment, and it reinvented. I need to teach our employees, our staff, our students, how to communicate in a global marketplace when everyone doesn't speak the same language as you or equate pretty or neat to the same definition. And that's something that was really, really, really important. Now remember, this is 2020, so colleges and universities, we pride ourselves on preparing students for the global marketplace. And you will be ready for jobs that do not exist yet, for majors that have not been created. But what does that mean? It means that every single problem we have in our society is on our campus. So political tensions, Biden, Trump, George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor, COVID, everything was on our campus. I want to wear a mask. I don't want to wear a mask. You must mandate the vaccine. You better never mandate the vaccine. And all this feedback was coming, and we had to adjust mid-flight. And so we really took in the feedback of everyone. We did surveys. Some people wanted to speak up. Some people weren't comfortable speaking in a town hall or a forum or a Zoom meeting. And so we did surveys. Some people wanted to do the surveys, but they didn't trust the process. So we did anonymous surveys, and we listened to everyone. And we gave them the results. We had to make policy, and sometimes everyone's feedback could not be a part of the new policy, but every single stakeholder knew that they were a part of the algorithm to get to the solution. And so even in coming back to the workforce, 1 minute, that was quick. Even in coming back to the workforce, we really were very integral to what people wanted. We wanted to show up for our students on campus, and we wanted to honor the remote work policy. We wanted to make sure that every student was served if they wanted to be served in person, but we wanted to honor health and safety of everyone and learn. We could do a lot not being on campus. And so every student-facing area works remotely 1 day a week. Everyone in the back office can work remotely 100% or hybrid. We had to adjust to make things work for the better of society, and we had to do it to make sure that students, they learn not just in the classroom, but most importantly, outside of the classroom. And we did this in many different ways, and I look forward to talking about it on the panel because I'm out of time. Thank you.
Thank you.